Let's continue. So from where I left, I've mentioned specifically that your task response will get on automatic 5. If you do not, so get an automatic 5 if you do not write a 250 word. So let's say you were only able to write 249. Your number of words will have 249 and there's a penalty of 1. Now, as I've mentioned, even if you get 8 in all the areas, I'm using 8 as my maximum because out of the 7,500 students I already coached, only 3 of them got an 8. So if you add them together, this is going to give you 7.14. With a penalty of 1, this will only get you to 6. And that is if you will get 8. But what if you don't? Right? So the score will become lower. So your score will even be lower if you will not even reach 200 words. So our scoring process here for task response is that if you get uh, a number of words between 100 to 200, 100 to 199, your automatic TR is 4 and your penalty is 2. So you will not even reach 4. So even though your target band score is only 4, I keep on saying this, that if 4 is your only target, you can pass the test even if your eyes are closed. But if you will not reach even 200 words, your automatic TR is 4 and your penalty will be 2. Okay? That will prompt you to take the test again. This is the failure of all failures. Okay? So make sure to write 250 words. Now the question is, how can you possibly do that if you don't know anything about the topic? That's where you read. That's where you prepare. That's where preparation comes into the picture. Clear? Okay, the question here at the branch is whether examiners will be providing us with questions or whether it will appear on the PC. Now, some good news is that in the past, we cannot have any assistance whatsoever because we need to count the words manually. This is what I'm trying to add muna. No? But right now, because you will be taking the test via computer, by the way, we no longer have the option to take a pen and paper based exam in the Philippines. I don't know in other countries like in Peru, in Morocco, if they have an IELTS with pen and paper. But in 2027, every pen and paper test will be phased out. So in the Philippines, we did that in July. July was the last date of taking the pen and paper based, and everything is now computer based. So if you will take the computer based test, you will have a word counter, which is good news. And instead of examiners like verbalizing, they will dictate. No, you will see the question appear on top of your screen. This is your task description. And your task description, you can now choose whether you do your task one first or you do your task two. You have two boxes here. Maliit lang to, of course. This will be small. So 1, 2. So you click 1, you will go to task 1. You click 2, you will go to task 2. And you will see the question. Now, it depends. If you're GT, for task 1, you will see GT letter writing. If you're academic, you will see a line graph, bar graph, a pie chart perhaps, a table or a combination of 2 or 3 of them. You can either see a process, a map, a diagram of how something works or created. So academic is much more difficult compared to GT because GT all you have to do is write the letter. But task 2, you will see a background statement. Sometimes it's background statement in combination with your instruction already, but it's not going to be just one sentence very often. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 sentences, including the instruction itself. So particularly in the open-ended category, what are the reasons, what are the effects, what are the solutions? So you will be receiving more sentences. So instead of them verbalizing, dictating what the question is, you will see it appear in front of you on the monitor, and below it, you can do it. My suggestion is that you begin with task two. You're allowed to skip part one, by the way. You do task two first in the actual test. Why? Task two is more important. It carries more weight. Task two is 67% of your total writing score. So if you're going to understand the concept of how your score is computed, writing task one is raw score. As in, if you get 5 in task one, let's say your score in task one is 5. Task one is 5. Your task two is 8. 8 is very impressive, by the way, 8. So you will multiply 8 first by 2. 8 times 2 is going to give you what? 16. 16 plus 5. It's 21 divided by 3. 7. Are you getting the point? So you still got 7 despite your task 1 only getting 5. But the if you switch the area, if you flip the situation, you get 8 in task 1. You get 5 in task 2. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 8, 18. Divided by 3, you only get 6. Despite your task 1 being very impressive, you only got 6 because your task 2 is the one pulling the score down or pulling the score up. So you do task 2 first, you put more importance in task 2. I'm not mocking, I'm not belittling what your writing task 2 is going to be about. Regardless, your writing task 1 is easy. Your task 1 is just about letter if you're GT. Your task 1 is all about pie chart if you're academic. And even though we can consider it difficult in nature, it's still easier if comparing it to task 2. Clear? Questions? None? All right, let's continue. So type slash, also known as the open-ended, you're presented here with the situation or your problem. There will be following tasks. What you need to do here is to analyze problems and suggest solutions, answering direct questions on an issue. You need to discuss a topic thoroughly. So when it comes to discussing topics thoroughly, you have to respond to it in a very explanative type. Oh, you're not seeing? Okay. All right, what you need to do here is to discuss the topic thoroughly. Unlike agree, disagree, to what extent and advantage is advantage, which is heavily inclined towards the opinion, or discuss both views, which you just have to explain. Type slash, you have to not just explain, but to expound on a topic. That is your target. That is your goal. To expound. When it comes to term expound, you have to answer questions directly. Yeah? And the problem with open-ended is that it's not answerable by yes or no. This is the opposite of agree disagree because agree disagree to what extent discuss about this is a yes or no question. You agree, explain why. Right? But type slash, when it comes to being open-ended, you will explain things to me in a very strategic manner. Right? Okay. For example, um, anong course na tinik mo? Mom, if I ask you to discuss the water cycle in detail to me, can you do that? Water cycle. Diba? You can either pick whether it starts with precipitation or starts with evaporation. I don't care. But the process of water cycle begins in the evaporation phase, where the sun heats various water sources from the planet's surface, including the ocean, the rivers, and even the underground water. and it will now condense into clouds. As it condenses, it becomes heavy, and it now falls into rainfall or snow. And the cycle continues. Cycle repeats itself. That's open-ended. You just have to explain things. Like, where were you last night? Sabi ng asawa mo. Saan ka galing kagabi? Ay, dyan lang kayo parang ganito. Di ba? Giinuman kami. That's how you explain. Open-ended. You answer, you explain. That's it. Okay? That's it. If I ask you right now, why do we need to separate colored to white clothing when we wash them? Okay. Kaya mo? Gumawa ng isang paragraph about it? Can you write a paragraph about it? Yes. Oh, the most important reason why we have to separate colored clothing from white garments is that it can bleed. The colors of garments can bleed and make the white clothing look different. For example, I wash a red shirt mixed with a white shirt. The white shirt can look pink. Diba? You are explaining. Again, your test is not that easy. But I'm just giving you an example how you can explain. And primarily, open-ended is focused in problem solving. We have this problem. Tell me about the solution to this problem. Right? Hmm. But we also have to avoid controversial points. Oh, what is the best solution for population? Growth. Diba? If we kill the people, right? If you're Hitler, genocide is the answer. You kill 500,000 people. That's it. Problem solved. Let's bomb them. Tapos. But that is inhumane. We have to look for a more humane solution to the problem. That is achievable, that is ethical. So what do you think is the solution to the population growth? Overpopulation. Family planning, education, dissemination. Huh? Contraceptives, di ba? Oh, family planning is one of the most important in controlling the population growth of the world. This will include not only talking to couples about how they can support the family that they're trying to build through their financial capabilities, but also using contraceptives to prevent. Eh, syempre, meron mga hardcore Catholic. No? Ay, family planning. Hmm. So we also have to avoid dipping our toes in those controversial topics. Ngayon, instead of ballooning population, no? Are you understanding the concept right now? Instead of the world being concerned with population growth, the world is concerned about the population decline. Why aren't people in Japan, in South Korea, even in the Philippines, our birth rate is at its lowest since 1981, which means more couples are choosing not to have children. So you will ask, why? Why? Why do you think couples aren't bringing this many children here on earth as our grandparents used to. Pag tinanong mo, ilan ba kayo nay magkakapatid? Siyam. Ilan ba kayo tatay magkakapatid? 12. Oh, 12 yun sa loob, dalawa sa labas. Ganun sila eh. Diba? Hmm. Why? How come people today aren't bringing more children as they used to? That's what you have to explore. You have to have ideas. Why? Not just personally, because again, you have your personal preference, but why more people? Germany, Europe, Italy, they have population decline. Philippines, nakakagulat. Dami-daming tao dito, pero they choose not to give birth. They choose not to have children. Doing DINK, and tinatawag, dual income, no kids. Yes, exactly. Economy. That's a very huge factor, right? When I had my first child, um, he had a heart problem. So we call this the patent ductus arteriosus. Or when you say patent, it's open. It was an artery that connects the umbilical artery. So it's still patent, it's still open, which makes the blood, instead of oxygenated and deoxygenated for adult, becomes mixed. So we give him medication for it. We have a cardiologist for him. Um, Madali siya magkasakit. No? And the milk, no? Uses a different kind of milk. So some people will say S26 mahal na, namamahala na sila sa S26. Pucha, Hipco, Combiotic CS yung gamit namin na milk. If you haven't heard that, exactly. Because if you go to any department stores, you will not see that. Sa Pampanga pa kami nakabili. So S26 was like 3.5. Si Hip Combiotic was 6.5. That's for one kid. Imagine doing that for like 8 more. You have like 9 kids, and all of them have that. As parents, diba? We love them. We love our kids. We will do anything for them. But we also have to imagine, how can I possibly secure this person's future? Because as a person who struggled so much growing up, like we don't have money, we were poor. I want to study medicine. I want to study law. I want to go to this university. I want to go to a prestigious university. I want to go out with my friends, go to Starbucks, go to the mall. We can't do that simply because we don't have money. So I'm thinking, right now, I need to be rich. I need to provide for my kids. Mm. And again, you can't do that if you're in the Philippines. Right? That's why you're here in this classroom. That's why you are tuning here on our meeting, because getting rich in the Philippines is very far-fetched. Pag may natamaan kang malaking isda dyan, ako po, ibabagsak ka. Diba? Puro corruption dito. Mm. Opportunities are out there. So pass your IELTS, get the hell out of this country. You can do that. Kaya mo yun. Okay? So, thoroughly. So, people today move to new cities or new countries more than ever before. What challenges do they experience, and what strategies are there to meet these challenges? Who among you guys have tried going abroad, either for leisure or for work? Kapag ibang bansa ka na? Hindi pa. Ah, travel lang, hindi pa rin. Ikaw, anong bansa? Australia, how long have you stayed there? 3 weeks. So imagine yourself in that span of 3 weeks, you are working for to sustain yourself, like buying yourself groceries, studying, paying for your bills. Imagine this 3 weeks being 3 years. What do you think is the difference in comparison with you living in Australia with life here in the Philippines. Again, this is a subjective perspective because I'm asking you personally. We're not talking about the objective one because we will be jumping right into the objective one later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, what challenge do you experience when you get there? When you get abroad, when you go abroad, what problems did you encounter? Number one, what problem did you encounter as a tourist? Did you encounter any problem? Wala. What about adjusting to the culture? Did you have any problem adjusting to the culture? Weather, number one, right? So adjusting, whether it's culture or the weather. So you were talking about Australia. Some people will go to Middle East. So from our climate, which is what we call temperate, going to a humid, arid one, very dry, humid one, they struggle because it's very hot and humid. Well, Philippines is hot, but it's nothing compared to those near the equator. Mas wag tayo magmayabang. Hindi tayo pinakamainit. No? Especially if you came from a tropical country like the Philippines and you will travel to Canada, they encounter negative 35, negative 40 degrees centigrade. Everything is freezing. Everything is freezing. Even your car freezes. They use blow torches just to warm up the cars. So that's it. That's number one. Number two, culture, right? So you're used to adobo, sinigang, kanin. You're used to those kind of food. Kwek-kwek, tokwa, ano pa, taho. You're used to that. Galunggong. But you don't have galunggong in the UK. You can have galunggong in the UK, but it's not the same as in the Philippines. It's not as fresh as in the Philippines. You can have mungo there, but it's not the same as in the Philippines, right? What are the kinds of food that you eat in the UK? Fish and chips, burger, pizza, pasta, particularly. When you go to the US, the servings are really extreme. Diba? Burgers, chicken, fried chicken. What else? Steak, tacos, nachos. So you will miss the food. What else? How people interact with one another, how people behave with one another in the workplace, in the neighborhood, in the community. That's what we call culture shock. Hmm. What's another problem that people encounter when they migrate? Do you have your family here in the Philippines? What if you will move to Australia next month and you will stay there for 3 years and you will not see them? What are you going to feel? Homesick. You will miss them definitely. That's why here's what I tell my students. If you will migrate abroad and you will miss your family here in the Philippines, make a new one abroad. Right? Tama ba? Ano, natatawa sa inyo? Joke yun. Nami-miss mo yung pamilya mo dito, gumawa ka ng ibang pamilya doon, di ba? But look at that. For those of you listening, particularly those Chinese students who sent me late night messages regarding me speaking in Tagalog, see what I did? I told them a joke in English. They didn't laugh. They didn't laugh at all. But when I translated it in Tagalog, that's when they laughed. Hirap. Okay. But that's it. Right? I'm kidding, by the way. But that's the idea. If you go abroad, you will definitely miss your home country, right? You're going to miss your family. That's homesickness. You're longing for your roots, diba? Your culture. Now, if you encounter those problems, what do you think are the solution to those problems? How did you adjust to the weather? Oh, how did you adjust? Oh, number one, I know that when I come in Australia, first uh few months of June, July, August, di ba? Yun ang ano nila, ang winter nila. I expect na winter and because of social media, I can use my app. I can use Google. Oh, it will be winter when I come. How extreme? Oh, -10, -20. I'll buy winter clothes. You're getting the point? You can research beforehand. Hmm. Well, saan ka pupunta bansa? New Zealand. O, ginugugol mo na ba yung buhay sa New Zealand? Di ba? Mga vlogs. Paano yung buhay ito? So that by the time you get there, you will still have to adjust eh. But there's not much surprise. Ganito pala yung mga baka dito. Nagsasalita. Alright? Hmm. You already have an idea. You need to do your research beforehand. I mean, technology is very accessible these days. Hmm. Again, if you miss your family, technology, you can communicate to them using your phone. Oh, what else? You can bring them together with you after maybe a year of being there. Oh, well, once you are settled, once you get enough money to sustain your life abroad, you can bring your family. Hmm. Okay, that's how you brainstorm. If you do not see a do you agree or disagree in your exam question, it does not necessarily mean that it's a type/1. Because imagine this. In this question, we do not see do you agree or disagree? But it does not automatically mean that this is open-ended type. Kasi look at the last sentence. Which way of education you find favorable? Let me highlight that. Which kind of education you find favorable? It means one thing. It is asking you for your opinion. Are you team stay at home or are you team going to school? Which way do you find favorable? This is still a classic do you agree or disagree question. Must as an open-ended one. Nakatago lang yan as an open-ended pero do you agree or disagree lang yan. Again, forgive me for the Chinese students. If I'm speaking in Tagalog, I'm just translating what I said that this is just do you agree or disagree masked as an open-ended. But in reality, this is not open-ended. This is agree, disagree. So I want you to understand the concept of those two. Because if you thought, hey, this is do you agree, disagree, or if you thought, hey, this is open-ended because I'm not seeing do you agree, disagree, you will produce a wrong essay. And you already failed. As easy as that. And when you fail, you have to take the test again. That is why the key is simple. You have to understand the question and what does it entail at the very beginning. So, umpisa pa lang, dapat paghandaan mo na ano to. Okay? So, technology is making communication in today's world easier, but at the expense of personal contact, as many people choose to work at home in front of a computer screen. What dangers are there for a society which depend heavily on computer screen rather than face-to-face contact for its main means of communication? So this is what we call a one question type. So when you say one question type, there's only one question in your topic. And your topic is what are the dangers? Now the problem is when it comes to coherence and cohesion. Again, I discussed the past response, right? Past response is the completion. Past response is the overall response rate of your essay. Coherence is the paragraphing. Coherence is the understandability, how you layer the information you provide, whether you provide them substantially. Cohesion is the connection, it's the transition between those information you provide. So naturally, because this is um, transition, you have to use transition signals for this matter. You have to use highlighting keywords. You have to use introductory terms. You have to use discourse markers for that regard. But when it comes to understanding, sino to nagsusulat na to? When it comes to understanding question to paragraph, again, this is what we call the question to paragraph ratio. If your question is it only has one question, two question, three question type. Okay. One question type will produce or should produce 5 paragraphs. Yan. Two question type should produce 4. Total number na ito. And then 3 questions should produce 5 paragraphs. So this is very simple. For you to understand it better. 1 is an odd number, right? Hey, 1 is an odd number, correct? Did you remember your elementary education about odd and even? Odd 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Even 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So odd number si 1. Si 5, odd number as well. Si 3, odd number. Si 5, odd number again. 2 and 4 are even numbers. So this is what you have to remember when it comes to paragraphing in open-ended. How many questions am I seeing? You do not base it with how many question marks am I seeing, because oftentimes 2 questions share the same interrogative sentence. Like, what are the causes and effects? It's not just 1 question, it's 2. Because I'm being asked with the causes and the effects. Clear? So how many questions? What are the causes and effects? How many questions? 2. Are you getting the point? How many paragraphs in total? 4. Simple as that. How many questions am I seeing? What are the causes? What are the effects? And what are the solution? How many questions? 3. How many paragraphs should it produce? 5, because 3 is odd. 5 is also odd. What are the dangers? How many questions? 1. How many paragraphs? 5. Now, here's the thing. Okay? Here is the thing. Tayo sa iba. Here's the thing, ha? If you're right, one question, particularly if the question is about what are the dangers, this is how you write. What are the dangers? This is how you write the essay. First paragraph, introduction. Wag nang first. Paragraph 1. Paragraph 2. Is danger number 1. Hindi ako makapag-note. Ayaw talaga. Paragraph 2 is danger number 2. Three. This is how you do the one question type. The question is only asking you about the dangers. So naturally, this is what you only have to supply. Correct. Okay. Now, for the two question type, let me give you an example. Once again, these are two question type, two questions. And the question is, what are the causes? What are the effects? So this is how you do your introduction. Introduction, your paragraph 1, it will provide a generalization of the topic. You will introduce that there are causes and there are effects. You mentioned, but do not explain too much about it. Now, your paragraph 2 will contain cause 1 and 2. Paragraph 3 will contain effect 1 and 2. And then conclusion. So, some students asked me before, sir, why aren't we allowed to make paragraph 2 cause 1, effect 1, and paragraph 3 cause 2, effect 2? Why do we have to write the causes separately and then the effects on a separate paragraph? Because it will lose the coherence. Actually, in technicality, you can do that, but it did not work for a long time. Like, people are finding themselves unable to pass the test because they are using this cause 1, effect 1, cause 2, effect 2 separate paragraph. It's not going to work that way because coherence or the understandability, the logical explanation is you do explain to me first what are the causes on a separate paragraph, and then you determine the effects on the next paragraph that will address the causes you mentioned. Okay? So, are you seeing the trend? Again, unfortunately, let me say sorry for Mark or those Chinese students. I will be speaking in Tagalog so that my Filipino students can understand this in Tagalog. No? Kung maintindihan nyo, Tagalog to Sasagutin mo lang yung tanong doon sa paragraph. Causes. So you explain what are the causes. Then you explain what are the effects. So this is a textbook definition of coherence, logical understanding. Okay, let's give it an idea. Okay, let's say this is a topic about um obesity. Okay, so our topic here is going to be about obesity. So you generalize that obesity is becoming very common now than it was in the past. There are various reasons why this trend is happening, but there are um and there are also some negative implications in the society if this trend continues to happen. So what is the cause of obesity? Uy, what is the cause of obesity? Pagtaba, ano? Overeating, right? Hmm. If you overeat healthy food, it's still overeating. Why do you think people overeat? It's because people are stressed with their work. So they just sit idly in their work. They don't have time to move, to exercise. That's cause number one. Overconsumption of food. Cause number two, in addition, the lack of time of people to do physical activities in tandem with sitting idly in their office for long period of time can cause fat to accumulate in one's body. And because this happens for years, the accumulation of fat becomes too massive that people can be categorized as overweight, then becomes obese. Ganon ang pagpapaliwanag. On the other hand, effect number one, what is the effect of obesity? If people become overweight, they will suffer from various cardiovascular diseases. Like, okay, example, heart problem, heart attack, di ba? May nakita ka na bang, ano, meron, may mga ganong cases eh. Diabetes, no? What else? Their energy level, their function will be diminished because, kasi may cause, may effect number two eh. Because of lack of physical activity. Di ba? Their dopamine levels will decline. And it will also affect their behavioral tendencies. Kasi nga, dahil mataba ka, harating ka palagi. Lagay mo din yan doon. That's it. Now, the question is not asking me for a solution, right? Am I correct? It's not asking me for a solution, but I will provide one, not in the body, because remember, this body paragraph is specifically for the body paragraph. But since I want the examiner to think that I am a candidate who cares about this issue, I can include a solution in the conclusion. Nagigets po yan? Are you getting the point? You do not give the solution in the body. Why? Why aren't you giving it in the body? Answer me. Why aren't you giving? It's not being asked. Exactly. It is not being asked. Hindi ka tinatanong ng solution. Ang hinihingi lang sa'yo, ano ang cause and effect. That is the reason why that's the only thing included in the body. But because conclusion is where you can do freelance, I can offer a solution because I want a happy ending in my essay. Now, if your topic is causes, effect, and then solution, that's where you can shine the most. For me, this is the best kind of question. Introduction, introduce everything. Body paragraph 1, this is your cause. Cause 1 and 2. Body paragraph 2, this is your effect. Body paragraph 3, this will now be your solution. And what about the conclusion? What are you going to do with it? This is where you summarize. You can repeat the information you provided in the beginning, but make sure they will not be repetitive. They will not be utilizing the same words so that it will not look as if it's just an imitation of either. No? So summarize, repeat the key points you mentioned from the beginning until the end of the body. So just provide your key points once again. Okay? So share. Going back, this is the sample 2 question. What challenges do they experience? What strategies are there to meet the challenges? So introduction, then challenge paragraph, then strategies paragraph, then conclusion. In this kind of question, introduction, discuss the causes. So body paragraph 1 will be your cause paragraph. Body paragraph 2 will be your effect paragraph. And then recommendation for body paragraph 3. That is how you arrange it. So introduction. How do we make a legitimate introduction? People today move to new cities or new countries more than ever before. What challenges do they experience and what strategies are there to meet these challenges? Okay. The best way to do introduction is none other than paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is a combination of 2 techniques. It's rewording and changing sentence structure. So to give you an idea, for example, I want to answer the question, Kevin, where do you live? If I say, I live in Gapan, oh, yung nagsusulat ha, kung naka-iPad ka, wag ka magsulat. I say I live in Gapan, that is just repeating what I stated. When I say I reside in Gapan, this is rewording. But paraphrasing is not just rewording. This is changing the sentence structure as well. So you will say Gapan is my place of residence. Or Gapan is the city where my place of residence is at. Pwede din. So meaning, I live in Gapan. Look at that. I live in Gapan. I reside in Gapan. And Gapan is the place where my residence is at. Mean the same thing. Naputang ina, nakatira ko sa Gapan. Yun lang yun. Isa lang ibig sabihin nila. But I changed the words so that it will not repeat the words from the task description. Why? Why are we avoiding to repeat the words from the task description? Patawag ha, excuse me lang. Hello? Hello. Ay. Hindi. Baka sila daddy. Oo, papasok. Sige, sige. So nakalagay ha. Sana ako. That's it. To avoid repetition, that is the reason why we changed the words. Sabi nga, if you want to score 6 or above in the IELTS, your task description and introduction must not share the same words. We're looking at least 4 to 6 words, new words. If you want to score more than 7, you have to change it completely. Meron pa rin nagsusulat ha. Tatapusin ko tong Zoom meeting na to pag may nagsulat pa dyan sa sa iPad. Tingnan nyo yung mga anak nyo kung nilalaro Kukulit. Kukulit nyo, kukulit. For example, people today move to new cities or new countries more than ever before. What challenges do they experience and what strategies are there to meet these challenges? People today move to new cities or new countries more than ever before. Yan. So first, let us highlight people. What words can you replace people with? Huh? Somebody? Individuals? Or specifically, those people who move abroad, what do you call them? Migrants. What else? Immigrants. Diba? Citizens. Pwede rin. New city. New country. Pwedeng new place. Diba? Move. Migrate. Naku, sino na naman to? Migrate, move, travel, diba? Challenges. What are the struggles? Huh? What synonyms do we have for challenges? Struggles. Problems. What else? setbacks, predicaments, what else? Hardships. What else? Due to this movement, people encounter hardships. They suffer from problems. They experience setbacks. O, di ba? You're not repeating challenges anymore. Strategies. Solution. What else? Way out. Ano? The key. Susi. To meet the challenges. So you will be looking for keywords first. All right? Searching for keywords. And then use your synonyms before you introduce it using your own words. So now let us introduce it using my own words. In today's world, modern world, many individuals try opportunities, try to look for in a foreign country. Diba? However, this migration trend makes these people encounter, experience, di ba? Pinalitan natin experience ng encounter. Encounter various hardships, despite this, there are ways by which such struggles can be dealt with through the use of technology. Tagalog. Samantala, may mga pamamaraan by ways by which kung paano itong mga struggles, problems na ito ay masolusyonan, dealt with sa pamamagitan ng technology. Pwede ring, despite this, there are methods to ease these problems through the use of technologies. Despite this, there are steps, di ba? There are steps that these migrants can take in order for their hardships to be solved. Ayan. Pwede rin. Di ba nagigets po yun? That's how we introduce the content using our own words. Clear? Okay, that's how you do introduction. So this is my example from a few years ago. Again, you don't have to take photos because it's already here. I'll upload this later, okay? The percentage of obese children worldwide has increased by almost 20%. So, the percentage, palitan natin ng rate, obese, overweight children, young people worldwide globally. So, yan pa lang, ang dami man nang napalitan. The rate of overweight children will be replaced by young people, has increased. Increase, huwag natin palitan, by a fifth by about, kasi almost, meron din siyang synonym, by about a fifth. Young ones, young people, sabi young ones daw, sige, let's follow that. Young ones is increased by about a fifth worldwide, globally, during the last 10 years, the past decade. Now, if you want to make this much more personal, if you want to make this more original, you can use during the past decade, the rate of overweight young ones has increased significantly by about a fifth throughout the globe. O, di ba? That's another way to put it. There are several reasons attributed to this problem, but there are ways that the government and parents can take to help solve this issue. Boom. That's how you make a legitimate introduction. Give me 2 minutes. All right. So the internet is a great source of information and has opened up opportunities for people to learn all over the world. Is all information reliable on the internet? So you're being asked directly, yes or no? That's why in this kind of question, you will still include your opinion in the introduction. Although, again, in many cases, I'm not saying 100% opinion is not valid, but in such cases, you're being asked directly, is all information reliable on the internet? It's answerable by yes or no. So when you say yes, you give the reasons why. So one paragraph dedicated to you explaining why you believe, why you have this opinion, whether the information on the internet is reliable. Now the question is information online reliable or not? Reliable ba ang information na nakikita sa internet? Hindi, right? Sometimes I'm amazed by how AI is so advanced right now that they really look like real thing. Even videos. I saw this video once. A squirrel was um giving its child, its offspring to a rescue boat in America, but that's AI. It really looks real. CCTVs, videos of dogs like doing something unusual, but they are not real. They're AI. So freakishly impossible for us now to determine whether it's true or not. So nakakatakot na. Scary times are happening. So what can be done to control information online? Diba? So it has to be the vigilance of the users, and the government's assistance. So, body, focus on the content. So this is my sample. In many cities, an increasing number of people do not know their neighbors, and there is no sense of community anymore. Guys, imagine questions in the exam about your neighbor. Like, okay, where in Australia did you travel to again? Sydney. Do you know who your neighbors are in Sydney? Exactly. If you go to an urban place, sino nakapunta na Manila? Alwas ka naman na siguro. Uh, do you know your neighbors in Manila? How long did you stay there in Manila? Do you know your neighbors? Kilala mo ba yung mga kapitbahay mo na? Di ba? Exactly. If you go to a place in a city, particularly a major one, go to Tokyo, you go to Sydney, you go to New York, it's impossible to determine who your neighbor is. Why? Number one, the question is, why do you think? What do you think is the reason why people don't know their neighbors anymore? Because we're busy. Why did you go to the city in the first place? It's either to work or to study. And if you're going to study, imagine you have a class at 8. You wake up at 5. Kaya ka 6, luto, everything. 2 hours ilalaan mo sa biyahe, traffic, di ka pa umabot. That's the point. Okay? We are so busy when you go to the city because you have an agenda that you you need to attain. And the problem is, by the time you get home, you're tired, you still have tasks, you still have to wash your clothes, you still have to cook your food. You don't have time to make chika anymore with your neighbors. Like, boyfriend, you don't have time for that. It's better for you to just rest. And number two, it's physically impossible for people to know their neighbors. Why? Because where do we live in the city? Exactly, condominium units. Where's your neighbor? Below you, above you. It's impossible for us to keep in touch with them. Now, what do you think is the best measure to help deal with this situation of people not knowing their neighbors? Because as a result, the sense of community is lost. What do you think is the best way to deal with this? Organize events. Oh, in condominium and high-rise apartments, we can put up leisure spaces. Kaya nga mga condo, may mga clubhouses because this is where we can interact with one another. So we have public gyms. Or for communities, we need to have like organized events so that people can come in, like in the park for children. They can have like Easter egg hunts. Okay, some community drive, uh, feeding programs, something like that. For old individuals, they can do Zumba classes, Zumba dance groups. Di ba? Oh, imagine today's your exam and your topic is this. Like, who would expect that your topic is going to be about neighbors? How crazy is that? So this is the example. While urban societies have allowed people to enjoy a more convenient and comfortable way of life, they have also caused many individuals today to isolate themselves from their neighbor. A number of reasons can be attributed to this tendency among city dwellers. Nevertheless, this situation can be addressed effectively if certain proactive steps are taken by the government and the urban population. Reason, again, this reason one and two is fused together. Listen, is fused. This is one paragraph. I just separated them into two slides so that you can understand that if I am going to mention this reason number one, and I'm going to mention this reason number two, I can begin with moreover, furthermore, in addition, as a sign of my transition signal. So transition signals are very important in your coherence and cohesion because coherence is paragraphing. One question, 3 paragraphs in the body, 5 paragraphs total. 2 questions, 4 paragraphs in total. 3 questions, cause, effect, solution, introduction, cause paragraph, effect paragraph, solution paragraph, conclusion, 5 paragraphs in total. But Where is the cohesion there? Cohesion is the transition. So you need to use moreover, furthermore, in addition. If you're going to mention cost in this paragraph, you will move on to the effect. On the other hand, meanwhile, however, despite this, use those terminologies. Okay, so we have reason number one. People who choose to live in the cities tend not to know their neighbors because the lifestyle in metropolitan communities is often frantic paced and isolated. These individuals are more likely to take comfort from their immediate families or flatmates rather than the more traditional neighborhood networks one might find in rural areas. Moreover, as cities become more crowded, people are forced to live in high rise apartments where it is more difficult to meet and associate with neighbors. The normal opportunities to mingle in common areas or be introduced to others through family networks are denied most in these places. To make matters worse, individuals often find it difficult to trust strangers in the masses of unknown people they confront because cities can promote selfish attitudes and odd agendas. Today, the old adage to not trust strangers appears even more valid in the midst of unfamiliar people. However, this lack of sense of community may be addressed by personal effort and by the creation of spaces and areas that encourage the development of community interaction and relationship building. Individuals can make an effort to engage with their neighbors by means of open communication, and the associations which run high-rise condominiums can host certain events appropriate to the different age groups of the residents. This is what I was mentioning a while ago about the Zumba classes, Easter egg hunts for kids. Because imagine your grandmother participating in Easter egg hunts, diba? And children doing Zumba. Parang ang tsaka naman nun. Alright, conclusion. In conclusion, never forget the comma, ha? Commas are part of your grammar. Alright? The isolation often experienced in cities can be dealt with. All that is required is a reframing of the idea of community and goodwill in doing this. Sample number two. People today move to new cities and new countries more than ever before. It is undeniable that the number of people who migrate to research for better opportunities is continuously increasing, and there's no sign that this will stop anytime soon. However, there are so many difficulties migrants face abroad. In reality, some of them are already sacrificing the quality of life in exchange for quantity. Despite this, there are measures to address such predicaments with the use of modern technology. In challenge paragraph, the migration of overseas workers offers a lot of advantages, not only to families but also to the economy of the country of origin and the host nation as well. Nevertheless, pero subalit what one of the problems they encounter is cultural indifference, since differences in traditional beliefs may lead to social isolation if one does not learn to adapt. This ignorance could lead to setbacks that give rise to racial discrimination, bullying, and other problems faced by overseas settlers. The comfort and security that families and friends bring are also very significant aspects of a person's life. Such feeling of belongingness is hard to achieve in a vastly diverse world, and it takes time, courage, and sacrifice for anyone to fully adjust. Nonetheless, strategies tayo. Preparation is a simple yet valuable action which could be a migrant's tool against any difficulty. With the help of technology, it is much simpler for people to research for generate general information. For instance, aspiring immigrants can browse online regarding the place they want to travel to beforehand, such as culture, language, and even the weather system. Yung kaninang nabanggit natin, love and belongingness could be felt in different parts of the world if there's willingness to adapt to change. Additionally, the use of online platforms for better and faster communication can cut distance through video calls and chats. In conclusion, several factors are serve as great hindrances to people who migrate. However, I am certain that through the use of technology and being adaptive, migrants can conquer the problems they encounter today. So, ito po ay period, it's not comma. So the reason why ang daming problems ng ating pong slides, like yung comma, naging period, nawawala yung comma, it's because this was originally a PDF which translated into PowerPoint. Kasi nawala yung original PowerPoint ko eh. Kinonvert ko lang siya. Converted back to PDF. But the PDF version is better. Okay? So, sample 3. Many old buildings protected by law are part of nation's history. Some people think they should be knocked down and replaced by new ones. How important is it to maintain old buildings? And should history stand in the way of progress? So again, here's the question. Is it important to maintain old buildings? How important is it for you on a scale of 1 to 5? 5 being it's very important. 1, let's bring them down. 4, right? Why is it important to maintain old buildings? Anong old building yung matatandaan mo? Kahit dito sa Pilipinas. O kahit sa Sydney. I can remember an old building there. SM maluma yun. Wait, SM. We're talking about hundreds of years ago. Ha? Millennials? Hmm. Kaya nga, lalo ka naman sa mga old building. Valero. Valero, yan. Museo di Banat eh. Museum lang yun, kakatayo lang yun. Ano bang old building tinutukoy ko? Hmm. Quiapo Church? That's a church? Pwede? But doon tayo sa mas hindi. Doon tayo sa mas neutral, yung walang kinalaman sa religion. Yeah. Old building. Okay, give me one. Very old building. City Hall. City Hall. Okay. It's an old building. Pero ito yung building na hindi naman importante dahil pwede naman tayong gumawa ng bago. Meron siyang historical significance. The White House in America is an example. Okay? What else? Taj Mahal in India. It's another example. Capitol. Diba? Malacanang Palace. Diplomat Hotel. Matagal na yan. Mga mumu na nga dyan eh, di ba? This is my sample. Traditional structures are preserved by many governments around the world to protect the heritage of their countries. However, many individuals believe that they must be changed into more modern ones. Despite this, I think that preservation of old structures must be continued and learning more about history does not hinder innovation. Ayun na nakalagay sa question eh. Should history stand in the way of progress? No. So this is the how important is it to maintain old buildings paragraph. There are many symbols of a country, museums, temples, and old houses. It is essential for a nation to preserve their integrity because they offer lessons to the next generation. The tradition and culture are maintained to these symbolic establishments. In addition, many of these places serve as tourist attractions not only because of the reminiscence they bring, but also due to the fact that they are pleasing to look at. Ang ganda nila eh. Kasi imagine that Taj Mahal in India is an architectural marvel that many people behold regardless of the differences in religious beliefs. On the other hand, history does not get in the way of progress, but quite the contrary. Ito po yung question na should history stand in the way of progress? Many traditional structures are still standing today, are results of years of engineering as builders of the past have utilized various techniques that are passed on even today. Renovations can be done without sacrificing integrity. As a result, they can be safe for people to use that continues to teach about history. A testament of this can be found in many world-renowned landmarks, such as the London Bridge and many of the United States government halls that are still useful today. Truly, modernization can occur without essentially replacing the old buildings. In conclusion, maintaining old buildings is the duty of both the government and the citizens. In doing so, people can be more knowledgeable about their past, present, and future without abandoning their heritage. Indeed, past structures can coexist with modern design. Next, sample number 4. Agricultural to city. Basahin nyo na lang yan. Sample 5. Obesity. In education and employment, some people work harder than others. Why do some people work hard? And is it always a good thing to work hard? Hmm. Let's answer the question. Why do some people work hard? Hmm. To pay the bills, save money. Mhm. But you need to answer the question deeply. Why? Because they simply can look for other jobs. They can simply, you know, work hard. Why do they do that? Still, do you know the saying, work beats talent? You know that? You know the saying, hard work beats talent? 'Cause some people are gifted. Let's be honest. Meron talagang magaling. May katrabaho ko bang sobrang galing? Ah, yung sobrang galing niya kahit anong problema kaya niyang solusyonan. Yung meron, sir, I'm not gifted. You know, I'm just a normal human being. If you're not gifted, you want to reach that level as that person, you have to work twice as hard. Like this exam. There are some people who are obviously better. Iba-iba tayo ng starting line eh, but we have the same finish line, right? So imagine, um, this is the starting point. Start. This is the finish line. Yan. Kami ni Ma'am Shannon, nandito na kami. We're already here. Cross the finish line because we're done. Right? Hmm. We're already here. Now, where are you? Are you way here? Hmm? Some people will start, they're already here. It's just one step for them. They will get over the finish line. Some people are just so damn good when it comes to the preparation. Honestly, in all honesty, some people are just that good. Some people are just that bad. Trust me. There are good people, there are also bad people in this test. So if you don't have talent, you have to work twice as hard. Like you want to reach this position, do you have to walk or do you have to sprint as fast as you can? Kung nandito ka, you have to run faster, right? This is where hard work comes into the picture. We work hard because we want to reach that level. You want to be as good as Alex Iala in tennis? Question, do you have talent? No. Number two, are you practicing? No. What are you doing? You're just daydreaming. Nothing is happening. You want to pass the test? Yes. Do you have talent? No. Are you studying enough? No. How can you go to the finish line if you're not doing the right thing? Simple as that. Why do some people work harder? Simply because they're not talented enough. They're using hard work to compensate for their lack of talent. And sometimes you have to give props to them. Like good on you. Like in NBA, there are so many talented people. Like LeBron, right? Like Curry. He can take shots even from the dug out, right? Pacquiao, when it comes to boxing, they're already talented. Imagine, you're already that talented, yet they still work hard. They still lift weights, they still run, they still practice shooting. Tayo, normal na tao lang, wala tayo pa-practice. And we will dream about doing that. These are already elite people, talented individuals. Yet they still do practice, they still put the hard work in. So the question is it always a good thing to work hard? If you work hard every day, what happens after 2 months? Burn out. Diba? You feel tired. Because working hard is tiring. Is it tiring to work hard? Trabaho ka ng trabaho? Yes. That's why it's not a good thing to work hard all the time. We need to balance things out. You need to tell those people who are way too hardworking to also slow down from time to time. Hmm. Many individuals today exert more effort than others in studies and at work. There are many reasons why these people do this. However, my belief is firm that hard work is not always beneficial for everyone. This is my introduction. A lot of persons have set their goals for either educational attainment or work promotion. Essentially, they believe that talented individuals can gain recognition with minimal effort. Diba? Pitik-pitik lang sila pero ang ganda ng recognition eh. Whereas these hard workers need diligence or kasipagan to grind their way to the top. For instance, students in many countries only go to school for 6 to 8 hours in a day, but they still utilize their nighttime to do their homework and projects to catch up to the class rankings. Another instance would be conducting overtime at work to finish the job. Some employees do this on purpose to compete against their colleagues. Such imbalance in schedule takes off the leisure time of these individuals. No, wala na sila ng free time. On the other hand, diligence is not always equivalent to success. The standard is deemed by many as equivalent to both academic recognition and work promotion. However, since a person's mind and body are constantly being utilized at full potential, the tendency for burnouts become much higher these days. It is evidenced by many persons claiming that despite reaching the pinnacle of studies and careers, they still find themselves unable to enjoy the set attainment. Furthermore, depression will also become more common if academic recognition and professional advancement do not materialize after such efforts, as these people would think they only wasted their time and energy without achieving something. Nagkakailangan ko ng panahon, di ba? In conclusion, working hard makes it possible for people to achieve their goals academically and professionally. However, it is equally essential to take note that self-actualization does not only come from being industrious either at the workplace or at school. True success is measured by being accomplished in all areas of life. Balance in every aspect of being is what most people should strive for. Eto, this will be your assignment. Copy, take a photo. So I already have an example for this one. You can check it out later. Tagal-tagal. This is the sample. This is another example. If this is the question you want to make an essay about, this pwede nyo rin itong picturean. It's about celebrations disappearing. Yan. I'll make a sample. The rise of social media platform. Share. Share screen. Share. Rise of social media platforms. Yeah. Rise of social media platforms has made it easier for people to vent their frustrations and complain publicly. Diba? Aircon. Okay. Time on my watch is 11:29. In this day and age, people individuals find it easier to express their dissatisfaction over a product or service through various platforms. However, there are several negative implications of this trend. Meanwhile, there are also different advantages that people can gain from doing this the proper way. Yan. The internet has allowed people to vent their frustrations over a faulty service or a problematic product that they encounter. This ease of access to this ease of usage through these platforms make it possible, makes it for people, for users to be heard by the public. Doing so, they can get sympathy from other people or even establish a movement to support establish a support for the same movement. Nonetheless, the most important idea, no, the consequence of this capability by anyone, capability to share negativity to a page can be abused. The consequence of this capability by anyone to share negativity, nonetheless, the consequence, the major consequence of this capability by anyone to share complaints na lang online is the fact that this feature can be abused. For instance, it is easy for people to remain anonymous on a website and make false negative review. In order for others to select the competitor. Diba? Madali lang yan. By having this trend continue, people might prevent others from using this feature completely due to overusage and even abuse. Ba, yung mga complaints, dahil napakarami ng reklamo, hindi na tayo pwedeng magreklamo. Eh, yung mga valid na reklamo, hindi na siya makakapagreklamo. Yun yung idea. Next, on the other hand, ang tanong is there any benefit of expressing complaints on social media? The most important, the most integral benefit that individuals can gain from expressing dissatisfaction online is by being assisted easily. In the Philippines, the monopoly of various companies in important services make these makes the top brass or mga pinakamatataas na position to complacent in improving their features. By having a lot of similar situations, being compiled online, these companies cannot turn a blind eye. Ay, pag tayong gumamit ng idiomatic expressions. Cannot neglect, cannot disregard such complaints, such issues, as they will affect their business. For to illustrate, di ko nasasabihin a telecom giant or conglomerate in the Philippines only provides subpar service in their internet connectivity. And once the complaints got a lot of traction, palitan ko yung spelling mamaya, which even prompted them to be summoned in the Senate, they started fixing their issues, which made the users rejoice in finally having better service, all because they expressed their problem online. In conclusion, there is nothing wrong with complaining online since we need to rally, we need to express our opinions in hope to improve products and services. However, complaints, flooding, businesses with negative reviews by bots can remove this feature that anyone can enjoy. My suggestion is to ensure that complaints really do come from legitimate sources in order for consumers to win the fight against companies' complacency and poor service. Done. 11:30 ako nag-start. 11:43. 13 minutes. Ang galing ko lang to. Mantex. 359 words. Marami pa akong pwedeng baguhin, tatanggalin kasi masyado mahaba yung 359. So 250, 270, 280, 290. Wag lang lalagpas sa 320. Okay na, okay. Na? Kasi 320 means you're over-compromising the time that you have to dedicate naman para sa task 1 mo eh. Nagigets yan? So, syempre, may task 1 ka pa. Kaya ako, magaling na ako gumawa. 30 minutes, 395 words. Kaya ko kasi I've been doing this for years eh. Eh, what about you? Diba? So, you have to, number 1, this is just a reminder, read questions, read newspapers, read samples. Pucha, ang dami ko samples. Okay? And then, practice. I gave you your assignments. Do them. Have them checked next week. Okay? Have a nice day. God bless and good luck. Pasok kayo bukas for Ma'am Shannon's class. I believe Zoom lang yan. Okay? So, kung di Zoom, Teams. Abang lang po tayo ng announcement sa social media, Discord, Facebook, Messenger. Yun lang. Bye.